basketball coach for UNLV. He is one Mr. Josh Pastner, joining us here on BVB, joining us here again to talk UNLV basketball. Coach, Matt and Dave, welcome to the show. Thank you for doing it. Really appreciate the time today.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Really, really appreciate it. And ready to talk some UNLV basketball and talking some hoops. And so it's been fast and furious since I got the job here and have loved every second of it.
You're 30 days in. What have you liked about Vegas so far, sir? Like you know, because I know you're working a lot and you haven't put anything yet in the shelves and stuff behind
Well,
you.
I'm saving the shells so we get some there's a lot of room for big time basketballs when we have great wins. However, I want to show you, I do have the Jerry Tarkanian book.
It's a must, right? It's a requirement.
Got that. And then wait, I've got the UNLV Runnin Rebels Pressure Defense Philosophy and Amoeba Defense by Jerry Tarkanian.
Wow.
So right now, these are my two prized possessions, and a lot of opportunity to put all kinds of basketballs for some great wins when we get there.
Just lay it flat.
Yeah, don't worry
I'll
about
lay it flat for right now. I'll put it back after our interview.
Coach, I'm an adjunct professor at UNLV. And
yes, sir.
When I heard you were getting the job, I was super excited because I had heard that you were actively wanting this job. And I think people who come to UNLV look at it as a stepping stone, that I'm going to go there temporarily, 2 years, 3 years, and then look and leave. What makes this job so attractive to you, and why did you want it?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say this. I've been at great institutions at different spots. The last 2 years of my life, I was doing television. I was working for ESPN, CBS Sports, Turner, NBC, and I was really in a great trajectory with television. And so I had some other really good opportunities to be a head coach in these last couple of years. Before then, I was the head coach at Georgia Tech and the head coach at Memphis, and then a long time assistant at University of Arizona, and played there and part of the team that won the championship in '97. I say all that to say that every time I had these last couple of years, I had a couple jobs that were good jobs. I had opportunities at them, but it didn't feel right in my stomach. You know, there was just kind of that feeling. When this job became open, I was like, and they called me to interview me. Like I knew, like I wanted it bad. And so to answer your question, I've been coming to Vegas for 30 years. My dad used to be running tournaments, still runs tournaments here. In grassroots basketball. I have a great understanding, being a basketball guy and a love for hoops, of what this program has meant to this community and to this city. Obviously, going back to what Jerry Tarkanian, his staff, and his teams in those 80s and 90s, what it meant. And obviously, since then, there's been some good teams and some good some good years and good coaches, obviously, during that time. But it's been a little bit, you know, they need new energy. You know, that's just part of the deal. And so I always felt this was a sleeping giant. And it just the trees need to be kind of shaken a little bit. And so when this opened, I was like, man, this would be an unbelievable opportunity. Yes, there's challenges. What job doesn't have challenges? But the opportunity and the more you guys get to know me, I'm a glass that is overflowing type of guy. And everyone can talk about, there's a lot of competition now. I think that's awesome. We got to be involved with it all, because to me, the more foot traffic through and everything else, it's what makes this place great. And I really believe this city is a basketball town. I mean, it's the love for hoops. And I think Las Vegas is what it is today. The epicenter, the capital of the sports world, the epicenter and the capital of the entertainment industry, because of what Jerry Tarkanian and his teams did in the 80s and 90s to put Las Vegas, to put the four letters of UNLV nationally, globally, where everyone knows it, and has built what Las Vegas has become today because of that, because of basketball. And so to be sitting in this chair, to be wearing this polo with the four letters of UNLV, the Runnin Rebels, the back of your neck hair sticks up. You get goosebumps, the excitement, the enthusiasm. I mean, there's no words can describe it. And every day that I get up and ready to go, like I have such excitement to try to continue to move the program forward, how to build it back, and excited about that.
This is phenomenal. I love this energy. This is great. Now, you were doing TV for 2 years. One, was that fun and something that you could have seen yourself doing until this opportunity came up? And two, what do you take from doing TV from 2 years and then bring it with that energy to this job?
First of all, I absolutely love television, and I'm telling you, and I'm anyone that knows me, guys, Dave and Matt, that I'm a down to earth dude. What you see with me is what you get. But I felt, from at least from the bosses that told me that I've got a good trajectory moving upward and where I was going in television, and it is a great life, and it is awesome. And they're hard in the positions that I was doing in television are very, very hard to get. Like the studio stuff that I was doing with the networks that I was doing, I'm just telling you, it is very hard to get. So for me to leave that, you better be something better than to do that. And what I would tell you is during those 2 years, it gave me a chance to go around, watch different programs. Because guys, when I was coaching in the ACC, and I'm telling the ACC that was the prime ACC, when you had 6 Hall of Fame coaches and about 2 more is going to be in the Hall of Fame, and every night you play, there was 5 pros on the floor from all over. So, no one was going to let you come to their practices. No one was going to let you talk to them about their inner workings because you're competing against them. In the television deal, I had 2 years where I got to spend time with coaches, talking to coaches, going to practices, going to shoot-arounds, really learning and studying, asking about the NIL and about what has worked and what hasn't worked, and then trying to make sure that you're prepared so when that opportunity happens, you're ready to go. And so and now I've had a lot of coaches were telling me, stay in TV. Do not go back to coaching. This new climate of college basketball, don't do it. What I would tell you is I'm the other way. Being in it, I love it. I love recruiting. And when I was recruiting in my other places, you would be chasing a young prospect for 2 to 3 years. And then all of a sudden it gets down to 3 to 5 official visits. And then if you get the player, you're elated. And if you don't get the player, you're devastated because you spent 2 to 3 years of your life chasing a prospect. Now this is instead of 2 to 3 years, it's 2 to 3 weeks.
That's short, Josh?
Because when you take over, think about it. You are locked in on the portal. You've got to do a great job evaluation. And guys, it really comes down on the front end. What you're dealing with the agent. Yeah. What is this prospect? What do you need? What's the NIL is going to be?
Right.
And if he says, hey, to get this guy, you're going to have to spend 1.2 million, 1.3 million. I really appreciate it. Moving on to the next guy. And if the next guy says, hey, look, this is 250,000. Okay, we're all in. How do we recruit him? And then now from there, you got to recruit him. It might be between you and another school. But for the another kid that you wanted, you could have wasted all your time. Now you just know on the front end, this is what the market is. This is what he's going to ask for. And you just move on to the next guy. So that's the difference of what and I believe in less is more, being efficient. And I just think this new way is efficient.
Coach, you understood the assignment because I think a lot of UNLV fans want to hear more about Tark and they want the old time program, those former players welcomed back and be part of your program. I'm guessing that's going to happen with how much you've talked about Tark already here during this interview, but where does the energy come from for you? I know I was watching a previous interview for you. You haven't had a drink of alcohol. You don't do caffeine. You don't do coffee. Where does the passion for this come from for you?
Well, to answer your first question about the former guys, look, I've always said this. This is not my program. It will never be my program. I hope we win 5 national championships here. I hope we go 40-0 every year. I don't care what we do. This will never be my program. This is your program. This is the city's program. This is Las Vegas's program. This is the students' program. This is the alumni's program. This is all the former players and the coaches like Coach Tarkanian and his staff and all those great coaches. That's their program. I'm sitting in this chair as the gatekeeper, trying just to move the program forward in the direction that everybody wants it to go. Secondly, yes, I've reached out to as many of the former guys as that I've been able to do, and I welcome them and want it all back, because without them, and I mean this, without Coach Tarkanian's group and that him and his staff and the players, as I said earlier in our interview, Las Vegas is not Las Vegas. The Raiders, the Raiders aren't here. The Major League Baseball isn't coming here. The Golden Knights aren't. It's not the entertainment. It doesn't happen without that group in the 80s and 90s. So I recognize that. So this is their program. They need to be here and be proud of their program. Yes, I don't drink any. I've never had a sip of coffee. Never had a sip of alcohol. I don't smoke. What you see with me is what you get. I think Vegas is 24/7. The basketball coach better be 24/7. And what I would tell you is, where do I get my energy? I really want our teams to mirror how I believe our energy is and how I am, to mirror the head coach. But I believe in positivity. And a lot of people say this and they don't really mean it. They just say it because it's a line. Man, I live my life like this literally every second. Like, I understand the preciousness of this job. I also understand that literally, and I believe it. If you go to my X handle at Coach J Pastner, and I have it on there at the top. I've had it for a long time. That every day's a gift, every heartbeat is a gift, and every single breath you get is a gift. And when you can understand that and not take these things for granted, to the smallest thing, including sitting in this chair as the head coach at UNLV, how can you not be excited and not be energized and not have enthusiasm and excitement about every day? And so I guess it's just how I am, and I understand about that, and being around and understanding. Again, I go back to the word of preciousness and gratefulness, but I believe in that. That's just not a word of I just put up on my wall and just walk past it. That's who my DNA is. That's my insides. That's my fiber of what I'm about. And then that's why, because of the energy every day. Last thing I'll tell you on this, one of the most impressive things I think I've done as the head coach here at UNLV, of your team, of your program, is that there was a stretch there where I was probably sleeping maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours to maybe 2.5 hours a night. I think the most impressive thing was that when I was going out to dinners, that I did not fall asleep and put my head right into my steak or fall over sideways in this chair. To me, that is so impressive. Like, come on, how I should get a pat on the back for that, to be able to go in that little sleep and be able to be that attentive at every meal that I was at. I should get a kudos for that.
Listen, that's great, but that's what's expected here in Vegas. All right, we run late, we run long. This is you're right in the speed. Jump right in there. This is good. Now, I looked it up, and I don't know the number, but I know the families back in Atlanta. I mean, I got 3 daughters. Matt has 1 daughter. How do you do all this and have this energy with all them kids? I mean, you got a big stable, no?
I got 4 kids, 14, 12, 9, and 3. And they're all back in Atlanta. You're exactly right. There's been some times where I've gone to bed at night about midnight, and I said, "Oh my God, I haven't even talked to my wife or kids because I've been going." And I'm not proud of that. I'm saying I'm not proud of that. But I then would get up at 3 a.m. to make sure that, to call my family before they got to school. But I will say this. So they were with me, and look, my wife's my best friend. I mean, she's, my kids family's everything to me. And they were with me here at the press conference. And I swear to you this. And so we flew in on Wednesday morning, back when I got the job, press conference that day. We flew in Wednesday morning. They were here with me. And then Wednesday, they stayed at the hotel. Then we had an event Wednesday night. And then Thursday, and I actually told my bosses, I said, look, I love my family so much. However, I need to get them back to Atlanta because I got to work. Like, it's too hard. They're calling me. They're needing me to do this because they're at the hotel. I've got the car. I said, I got to get him back. Otherwise, I can't do the job. I can't coach at UNLV well in this initial first 60 days. I need to get him back to Atlanta. So now that things have calmed down a little bit, I'm ready to get him back to Vegas and kind of get into a house and get back to a kind of a normal life.
Coach, teaching at UNLV, I've been doing it now for 5 years, and I've talked to Dave about this a lot on and off the air about how being around young people, I'm 48, so being around young people, oftentimes I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from me. I teach a broadcasting course in the journalism department, and we're talking a lot about, this type of stuff, doing interviews and talking about content and how to produce content. But I'm also learning from them about how they relate to the world and how they present themselves to the world. As a coach, how much of it is teaching? How much do you love that part of the relationship with a player, not just basketball, but just being around them as people?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons, as David asked earlier about the TV deal, why leave TV? I mean, I had missed that part. It's interesting doing television. Like I said, it's awesome, but it's you sometimes are sitting there like, and you miss that interaction with the locker room, that interaction. You win a big game and you go in there and guys are pouring water on you, and look, losing stinks, but even trying to have to teach a lesson about how to bounce back after a tough game type thing. You know what I mean? And so you miss that, or guys calling me, hey man, coach, man, got previous guys that I've coached, and I'm a big believer in relationships with guys. And even now in today's game, as much as it's transactional, I don't want it to be all about transactional. Yes, it's still a business. I get it because of the NIL and all that stuff. That's how we are today. But I want it to be about the relationships and getting guys better. I have my belief of survivability in this game has been about player development, in the sweat equity, in the trenches with the guys, in the foxholes with the guys. I mean, that's what it's about, of every day of getting the guys better. And so, you miss when guys call you and say, hey man, coach, man, I just had my second child, or, guys that you coach, I'm getting married. Will you come to the wedding? And whatever, stuff like that. And I've always taken pride that for the guys that I've coached, and look, you both know this in sports, when you go through a season, not everyone's going to like you. I mean, that's just there's going to be confrontations. There's going to be people that disagree with you. It's like a family. You're with each other so much. If certain guys aren't playing as much, they're going to be mad at the head coach. It just is what it is. But I would tell you this, if you ask any of the guys that played for me, if they were put in a room and I wasn't there and they said some things about me, those guys would fight for me, say, you don't talk about coach like that, and vice versa. If I was in a room and someone said something about our players and they weren't there, I would be all over, would fight for them. And that, I think, is all about what you want and what you're about. And I'm so excited once we get going here in the summer to get everyone back on campus and start working and getting them in the gym.
Last one for me, sir. Can you build those relationships, one, in the current environment in college basketball, and two, there's a lot of questions about the Mountain West. And now that you're here and you're building it, what are your expectations for being in the Mountain West? It's not the ACC, although the ACC isn't the ACC from when you were there. But the challenge is changing so fast. College basketball, I mean, you were out of it and doing TV for 2 years. It's very different than when it was just that 2 years. And now the Mountain West feels like it's all over the place.
Yeah, well, first off, to answer your first question, Dave, what I would tell you is this. And yes, it's, first of all, college athletics is in real time movement. You better be flexible. You better be willing to change. You better be willing to adapt. I call it wearing loose fit clothing. Like, you can't be stuck in your ways, because that's not going to work in this today's game. I mean, by tomorrow, the UNLV could be in the Big Ten or the ACC. I mean, literally, or Florida State could be in the Pac-12 or the Pac-10. I mean, you just don't. I mean, that's really how evolving it is. It's literally day by day. I say all that to say this. A couple things. Number one, here's my 5 things, Dave, that I believe in the current climate. Number one, you've got to be zeroed in on player evaluation through the film. You know why? Because look, unless you're getting the 11 to 12 million NIL budget, you better be really good on evaluating. So evaluation still matters. That's one. Two, player development. You got to get guys better. Just because, as we talked earlier, it's still money involved, and it could be a little bit more transactional than before. Agents are involved. You better, as I like to say, the survivability of our program is player development, getting guys better. Three, okay, when they get to campus, you better be in the locker room from the first day and remind everybody, hey, man, not everyone has gotten paid the same monies here. I'm not going to share everyone what everyone makes contract, but it's no secrets. I believe in transparency. You can't tell these three guys, don't say anything to these. You know they're going to talk. So you might as well just hit the objective head on. Hey, certain guys are getting more money than others. Other guys are getting more money over here. These guys can get me more. That's where we're at. That's the fact. So you better address it and not try to be secretive about it. 4, you better coach your team with great accountability, great discipline, and demand the highest level of excellence without worrying that are they going to transfer or not. You better coach your team that you're going to assume the entire roster is going to go in the portal next year and you're going to have to start all over again. If you try to coach your team that hey man, let's not do this, let's not be too hard on them because we want to keep them, we want them to like us so they come back next year, you're going to lose. So you better demand excellence, coach them hard, hold them accountability, be disciplined, with the assumption the entire team's going to the portal, and you're going to have to start all over again.
Okay.
You got to and 5th and final, when the ball is tipped, every second, Dave, my loyalties to the players. Because this is a players' game, man.
Yeah,
it's about the players, and so my loyalties to the players. But hey, Dave, Matt, when that ball is tipped at 7 p.m. and that thing's going up there, the one time my loyalty shifts to UNLV, meaning that UNLV wants to win the game, meaning that I got to play the best players on the floor. So it's not about loyalty to the players, it's loyalty to UNLV, meaning that I'm putting the best players on the floor and there'll be no politics involved, meaning it doesn't matter if someone's getting $500 or $25,000. I'm putting the best players on the floor regardless of what their NIL is, because we need to try to have UNLV win the game. Those are my 5 things I think how you got to coach in today's game.
Unbelievable. Really cool. We'll get you out of here on this question and kind of dovetailing off of that. So I started coming to Vegas when I was working for a company called Rivals doing college basketball recruiting. I was doing it mostly for Creighton basketball, but that's when I first started coming here. That was about 15 years ago. I've been in Vegas now for 10 years. Watching this market in the way that AAU players all come here, I've often thought, well, look at Team USA basketball practices here. So you've got a ton of people with eyeballs from the pro level. We have AAU basketball coming in here like crazy. And UNLV kind of fits in the middle of those, up, down as these players develop. Can you still go and recruit the AAU world? You've coached in it. The AAU world. Can you still do that? Or is it simply just taking the mid-major / player on the development side and bringing in a sophomore or junior?
Well, Matt, so I think there's a couple components to that question. It's a fair question. I think the way we want to build it here, I think you got to have a mix of high school and portal guys. But the reality of it is a 21-year-old is going to be better than an 18-year-old. It's just the facts of it. And so, they're going to be stronger, more mature, and have already played college basketball. Plus, what you're getting because you're watching film who've played against other competition in Division I basketball. That all being said, I think there's a mix. So you can be more selective on high school recruiting because of the new world, Matt. It actually has hurt high school recruiting. There's no doubt about it. But you can't get a roster filled of high school guys. It's just not going to work because it's just not happening. I go back to like Duke even, who got, with the Cooper flag. Yes, he's really good as a freshman, and Knippel's really good as a freshman, but they also have some other really good older guys around them. And so, yeah, if you're getting Cooper flag, that's somewhat different. But how many Cooper flags are out there in the reality of it? So there's got to be a mix. There's got to be the intentionality of it, of how you construct a roster. Portal's going to be your baby, but you still got to do a great job in kind of the backyard, or finding that right kid or two in the high school, or maybe 3 and then just kind of go from there and then build it out with the rest with Perrault. Plus, you got to see who else is going to come back. Now, let me just also say this. In the world of also recruiting, let's say there's a guy, let's say I'm recruiting Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's a really good player. And I'm recruiting him, and I'm able to offer him, and I have a great relationship with Dave and his agent, and I'm able to offer him $300,000. But
I'm in.
You're in. However, if you're really good, and Kansas and Arizona and UCLA and USC come and offer you $750, we're not getting you. And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so when you go back to the Mountain West, those are some things where we've been involved with some really good kids. And I really felt the players that we signed in this recruiting class that we have for coming this year's team, because we had to start from ground zero. I think it was almost like kind of like a Moneyball approach, if that makes sense. We had to be great at evaluation, finding guys, doing our homework, finding what we wanted to find and what was important to us. But there was a couple guys we recruited that I thought we were close to getting. And all of a sudden, guess what? An SEC school comes in and just picks them off within 24 hours because they doubled what we could offer them. I had multiple times that happened. And so, but that's the reality of the game we're in. And so you're going back to the Mountain West. I think the Mountain West is a really good basketball league. I think there's really good coaches, good teams, good programs. I think it's a versatile league because there's different styles. I think there's great home court advantages all throughout the league. That's why we need Thomas and Mack to be not just a sixth man moving forward, but a seventh man. We need to have a big time home court advantage here so teams can't win into Thomas and Mack. But when you are in the Mountain West, the facts are you've got to, you're going to miss out on some guys against the players of the other conferences, of the Power Four plus the Big East, just strictly based on NIL. And so the Mountain West, which is a great basketball league that has multiple teams into the NCAA tournament year in, year out, but you're kind of in between, if that makes a sense, between, where you're fighting, who you're fighting against. And then all of a sudden, you're getting after league. And a lot of the power teams are coming into the Mountain West when the season's done to get those guys to go there. So that's where you're in between at that time.
I got to real quick on the way out. Do your kids play sports? Your own kids?
So my kids play volleyball. My daughters love playing volleyball. They play basketball. Yeah. So
how hard is it being your kid? Like your energy, we just met. You just got me fired up. There's people that want to come to UNLV and play basketball for you right now. I love this energy. I live like you. My kids complain like, Daddy, you got to relax a little bit. But I coach my kids. Your kids, do they understand what they are up against here with this?
Dave, let me tell you something. So I was watching my oldest daughter do volleyball one time. And I told this to my wife. And I didn't think she was having she was not being an energy giver. And it was bothering me. And I just said, and so I'm talking to her why aren't you diving on the floor for the ball? Why isn't there a bruise on your knees for diving hard for the loose ball? Like you're not playing. And she's like, and I remember she walked out with my wife and she says, Mom, I'm mad at you. And she goes, why? She goes, because you know why? Because you married Dad. And she's like, what do you mean? She goes, because Dad's 6 feet. She goes, if I want to be a Division I volleyball, why didn't you marry someone 6'7"? And that's because, seeing around all these volleyball players, the girls are tall and really, and so I'm like, but she was sort of right. But on the other hand, but she said that, but on the other hand, I was also like, I said, you know what? My daughter maybe she's just not able to win a 50. Like I'm always talking about 50-50 ball, loose balls, diving on the floor, the competitive excellence. Maybe she just doesn't have that. And I've got to be where my youngest daughter does, and maybe my oldest who is competitive, so I just maybe have to say, okay, when I go there, I got to remember this, I'm not coaching, I'm not evaluating a prospect. I just got to understand, because when I'm coaching guys and there's a loose ball on the floor and we don't come up with it, to me, winning that one possession or that loose ball is more important than actually breathing. It's hard for me to fathom when we don't come up. You've got to have that mentality to be aligned with me. So when my kids aren't like that, I'm like, I'm like, I
Hard.
come in the car,
As a
man,
dad,
why
it's
aren't you
hard.
driving on for? Why aren't you doing it? And then I've learned I just got to let it go. And they're just not going to be a high level, could not be maybe a big time athlete. And that just is what it is.
Well, Coach, I'm so psyched that you are now the head coach
Awesome.
of UNLV, because I think folks around town have been looking for someone to embrace the program the way you've already embraced it. We can't wait to see you this fall. October will be here before we know it. Thank you for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hop me on anytime. Let's keep talking some hoops. I'm looking forward to it. We'll get back on as we get closer to the season for sure.
Let's do it. That's Coach Josh Pastner from UNLV joining us here on the